Hello, my loves. Today we are focusing on hip strength and mobility and front body opening. So we're going to start off with a little bit of mobility work, some passive and dynamic stretching, and then we'll move through a more active flow. We'll get a bit of a sweat on, get our heart rate up, get the heat flowing, and feel nicely aligned and alive in our bodies. So of course you want a yoga mat. You may like a couple of blocks and perhaps also a strap, as we will be visiting Dancer's Pose or Natarajasana. And before we dive in, I just want to take a moment to invite you into my very beautiful heart-led coaching container that we have coming up in May. It is called Becoming Her. And if you know that you are meant for more, if you feel the little nudge calling you to feel more alive and more aligned with what you care about and the life that you dream of, then this is for you. We are going to get really clear on the woman we're becoming. And then I'm going to give you so many tools that actually fit your real world everyday life to help you get there. It's all really supportive. There are weekly embodiment practices, there's group coaching calls, there's a live voice chat with inside the group, and there's a bunch of other tools and practices that you can use to guide you through. Early bird pricing is currently available, and there's a ton of bonuses and beautiful goodies included in that. So for all the information, you can head to alexballard.com/becoming her. I'll also link it in the show notes and head over and take a look. Anyway, let's get started with our practice. So I invite you to begin seated. And as always, we will begin with the breath. This place that was almost like our line in the sand between what we were doing in our day and now being present in our practice on our mat in this state of being. So find it a supportive seat that feels comfortable for you, where you can lengthen through your spine and open through your heart space. Then if you feel comfortable, closing down the eyes, otherwise softening the gaze. And as your next inhale arrives, really receiving that through the nose as you fill up the chest, the rib cage and the belly. And then sigh this first one out through the mouth. Just let it all go. Again, as your inhale arrives, fill up chest, rib cage and belly. This time exhaling out through the nose as we release first from the belly, then the rib cage, and then the chest. Beautiful. 2 more rounds like that. Receive your breath as you fill up to the full capacity of your lungs, chest, rib cage, belly. And then reverse that motion as you soften through the belly, the rib cage, and the chest. One final round here at your own pace, in silence, breathing in. And breathing out. Beautiful. From here, we'll stay connected with our breath as we transition into our asana, our movement practice. So we're going to take our feet quite nice and wide, wider than mat distance, soles of the feet on the floor. And begin here with some gentle windshield wipers side to side, just knocking the knees in and out as we bring a little bit of warmth, of lubrication to our hip joints and also the lower back. And then next time your knees drop over to the left, finding kind of the Z shape with your legs. As we turn around over that front leg, twisting over that front leg, right hand to left shoulder. And then opening that arm up nice and wide. Awesome. 2 more, just like this. Twisting. And opening up. And 1 more, twisting. And opening up. Beautiful. Keeping your legs in this shape. We're now going to bring our weight into our left hand as we swoop the right arm up and over, pushing the hips forward. Finding this kind of baby wild thing shape. Nice. Bringing it down, open up. 2 more times. Inhale to sweep and lift. Exhale as we lower. 1 more time. Inhale, sweep and lift. And exhale, lower down. Really nice. Just heading straight back into those windshield wipers now. And then we'll take those two movements on the other side. So next time your knees drop to the right, keep that momentum going, twisting over that front knee, left hand to right shoulder now, and then open that up. Two more with your breath. Feeling that stretch up the psoas and the hip flexor of that left leg. While we're also rotating through the spine. And then finding those baby wild things now, weight in the right hand as you swoop hips forward, arm up and down. Two more rounds. And release. Final one here, lifting up. And release it down. Really nice. Coming back to center now, soles of the feet together, knees apart. As we find a butterfly shape with the legs and spiral through at the spine. So we're going to inhale as we hinge forward. Quite a lot of length in the spine here. And then as you exhale, the head drops heavy. Then we draw back, stacking one vertebra at a time, returning to upright. Allow the body to familiarize itself with this movement and then marry up the breath. So we are inhaling as we hinge forward and exhaling as we draw back. So take one more in this direction. And then reversing that motion. So bringing chin to chest now, scooping down the body, leading with the crown of the head. And then sitting up with quite a neutral spine there. So finding that rounding of the tailbone and the spine. Hanging forward and then lifting upright. Exhaling to swoop down. Inhaling as we lift up. Final round here. And up. Really nice. Here we'll cross the feet and rock through into our tabletop. Spreading through the hands, knees about 2 fist distance apart. And just turning on the core for a second here as we press down into the earth with the tops of the feet, the kneecaps and the palms of the hands. Rounding shoulder blades apart from each other as we knit the ribs towards the lower hips. And then lengthen tailbone and spine away from each other. Feeling that sense of strength and containment in the torso. And then release that off as you find your cow, bursting the heart through the shoulders, scoop the tailbone to the sky. And then exhale as we press into the earth, tuck the tailbone chin to chest. Again, we want to marry our breath and our movement. One movement per breath here as we flow through. Feeling free to let your body be your guide here as you start to paint outside the lines, maybe drawing some figure eights with your hips or undulating forwards and backwards on your mat. Maybe you're finding more of a barrel-like roll. Just following what your body wants and needs here. We'll take one more round of breath. And then from here, tucking the toes, pressing into the hands and sending the hips up and back into your Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And here, feel free to pedal through the feet, then one knee nice and deeply and then the other. Eventually finding some stillness in this shape as we press into hands and feet. So we're lifting up and out of the shoulder joints, activating the muscles of the legs. And grounding into earth. As your next inhale arrives, let's rise that right leg up and back. And keeping the weight even between each of the hands now, bend the knee and open through that hip. You may like to circle the ankle here, one direction and then the other. And then re-lengthen nice and long. As you draw the knee into chest, weight comes forward and place that foot between your hands. We'll drop the back knee here and peel the belly off the front thigh as we lift up into our Anjaneyasana low lunge. A little bit of dynamic stretching here as we drop into the stretch and then lift up and out. Again, just gently warming up the hip joints and the hamstrings before we move into our flow, which will demand a little more of these muscles, both in terms of their strength and their flexibility. That's the beauty of yoga, is we combine the two, and that creates real sustainable health without injury. Beautiful. Next time you drop down, hands frame that foot, and let's draw the hips back, Toes can come to face here as we just layer the body forward over that front leg. Taking a breath in. And then as you breathe out, replant that foot, tuck the back toes, send those hips back, finding your downward facing dog. Second side here, breathe in, left leg comes up and back. And then we bend through the knee, open that hip, trying to keep the weight even between each of our hands here. We circle through the ankle one way, and then the other. And then press into the hands to lengthen out long. As we exhale, we draw that knee to chest and place the foot between the hands. Dropping the back knee once again as we peel the belly off the thighs, finding that length through the spine, and then those dynamic stretches in and out of the hip joints here. Checking that we've got our knee tracking over the ankle of that front foot. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing to have the knee come over the toes. More recent research has shown that it's okay, but that's a different type of stretch. And for our intention today, focusing on the hips, it's better for us to keep that ankle-knee alignment. Really nice. Taking one more here. And then hands frame that foot. They can also come to blocks as you draw back. I should mention that at any point in this class, if you feel like you need the earth to meet you a little bit higher up, then blocks are definitely going to be your friends. They're for the wise, not the weak, and if your body needs them, please grab those props. Really nice, dropping back forward, tucking those toes, and finding your downward facing dog. Breathing it in here. And then as you exhale, bending through the knees, looking forward, and you can tiptoe step or hop your feet towards your hands. Inhale here as you find a halfway lift. And then exhale to fold. We'll ground through the feet as we rise to standing, arms above the head. Bringing the hands together down in front of the heart space as you exhale. One round of Surya Namaskar A to continue our warm-up here. Breathing in, arms up. Breathing out as we cascade over those legs. Let the head hang heavy like a bowling ball. Halfway lift as we inhale, drawing the shoulder blades together. And then stepping or jumping back into your plank. Through your knees, chest, chin, or your chaturanga. And then inhaling into your cobra or your upward facing dog. As you exhale, think navel to spine as the pelvic bowl draws us back into our downward facing dog. Beautiful. Okay, let's find our sequence. Breathe in, right leg lifts up. Breathe out as we bring knee to chest and then place that foot down once again. We're lifting up and into a warrior three here. So we can bring the hands to blocks or perhaps heart center as we rotate pinky toe of that elevated foot to ground and hug the external hip in on that right leg. Nice. Breathe it in here. As we breathe out, one leg Tadasana, grounding through that foot, drawing left knee into chest. And then we're going to find external rotation in that left hip as we open up to the side. And thread that left foot behind the right leg, dropping into your curtsy lunge. From here, opening into half moon. So again, hand can come to a block or the floor, or maybe we hover as we find our Andhra Chandrasana. Perhaps you even want to find a bind here, given that focus is on our front body. Really drawing hip forward as we hike the foot into the glute, maybe even looking back behind us. Nice. Ooh, got the wobbles. Re-lengthen your half moon. And then we're going to land in a goddess squat. So we're bending generously in this front leg. Toes of the left foot land us. As our heels come in, toes come out, and we sit nice and low. Checking in here that we've got that external rotation happening in the hips as we find some little pulses here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, keep breathing, 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. Rotating on the ball of that right foot now, we're going to turn to the back of our mat. Finding an arrowhead or lightning bolt here. So spine is long, breathe it in. Breathe it out as we find a crescent with a twist. Really nice. Okay, from here, open it all up nice and wide, facing the same side as we just did for Goddess 5-pointed star. And then left arm swoops around as we swivel on the left foot, coming back into that lightning bolt arrowhead shape, facing the front of the mat now. One final time, drive through the supporting leg as we hug the left knee into chest. And then keep the leg parallel as we take it behind us, left foot, left hand. Inhale, right arm up. Stay here or extend your shape into Natadajasana dances. Feel free to grab your strap if that supports you here. Finding your drishti. As we enjoy this deep front body opener combined with some stability and balance. Nice, coming out of the shape. As you are ready, hug that knee back into chest. And then land the foot on the floor as we fold forward. Find a ragdoll here. Head is heavy. Holding the elbows as we sway side to side. Inhale and find your halfway lift. And then taking your flow here, or of course, getting straight back to your downward facing dog. We will all meet there. As you inhale now, left leg rises. Drawing that foot in, placing it down, and then lifting up, warrior 3. Once again, we want internal rotation with the elevated leg, grounding through the left foot as you hug that left hip in. And then push down through the left foot as we hug that right knee into chest, finding length through the spine. Externally rotating that right leg. And then nice, big, long step behind us as we curtsy squat. Bursting it open now into your half moon shape. Right leg is lifted. And if you did so on the first side, finding that bind here. Re-lengthen that leg if you have the bind. Generous bend in the supporting leg now as we land the back foot into that goddess squat. And then we find our pulses once again. For 10, 9. Extra challenge this time is to pop the heels coming up on the toes. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Land those heels down. Pivoting on that back foot as we reach towards the back of our space, arrowhead. And then maintain that length as we find our twisted crescent here. So we're hugging that right hip back in space, lengthening the left hamstring to sky here. Nice, and then that big opening up to our 5-pointed star, lengthen through the legs, swooping the right arm down and around, arrowhead now front of your space. And then coming all the way up to standing, hugging that right knee in. Nice. Then we swoop that leg behind us, setting up for our dancer's pose. Moving straight into it, or taking your time. Opening up here through the chest. And then when you're ready, releasing that off. Softening the knees, taking your fold or your ragdoll. Inhale, find your halfway lift. And exhale here as we flow it out, meeting in our downward facing dog. Nice. Okay, let's take that sequence one more time on each side, speeding it up just a tad this time. So we're going for kind of one breath per movement. I'm going to give you a little less instruction and allow you to drop into your body and your breath that little bit more. So when you are ready, if you're not already in down dog, meeting us there. And then as that inhale arrives, rise that right leg up. Swooping the foot through, we're heading into warrior 3. And then draw the knee to chest, coming upright. Opening up, coming into your curtsy squat. And then half moon. Breath in here and half moon. And then landing deep into your goddess squat, finding those pulses. Staying nice and low. Challenging your strength here. Staying for one more round of breath. And then twisting towards the back of your space, reaching forward. And then revolved crescent. Opening up, 5-pointed star, heels in, toes out. And swoop it all back around to the front, lightning bolt. Around as you lift to standing once more. Swooping that leg behind us into your dancer's pose. And then release the leg as you fold forward. Finding your ragdoll. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. And then taking your Vinyasa. Inhale, left leg lift. Exhale as we float into warrior 3. Ground through the foot, draw the right knee to chest, body is tall. And then open that hip up, finding that curtsy lunge. Half moon, inhale. And stay. Then land nice and wide in your goddess squat. Maybe pop the heels and find those pulses. One more round of breath. And then land the heels down as we pivot on the back foot. Turn the toes to the back of the mat. Reaching forward. And revolve your crescent. When you are ready, open up, 5-pointed star. And then back arm sweeps around and forward. Driving down through that foot as we lift up. And then prepare for a final round of dancer's pose. When you are ready, release all of that down. Take a big breath in and sigh it out. Inhale, halfway lift. And a final vinyasa here. Moving mindfully, perhaps lingering in that back bend for a moment. And then sending the hips into your dog. From here, we'll ground the knees, send the hips back over the heels. Take an extended child's pose, perhaps a little sway and rock through the body. As we transition from that more active, high heart rate movement into a little more restorative stretching. Allow the breath to regulate and soften. Bringing the hands in towards the knees. We'll set up for a round of Ustrasana, camel pose. So you may like blocks on either side of your feet. You can tuck the toes for a little more stability. Level 1, we bring the hands to the upper glutes, drawing shoulder blades together as we boost the heart up, gaze lifts. Level 2, hands can come to those blocks. Level 3, hands can come to heels, and maybe we drop that head back. Radiating that heart up towards the sky, shining our bright beam of light for all the world to see. Nice, core is on as we lift back up here. Sitting down on the heels, take a moment, allow the muscles of the spine to rebound. And then sitting to one side as we extend forward. Finding a Pilates roll down, finding a little bit of core activation before we rest. So sitting up nice and tall, feet flat on the floor, arms reaching forward, and then tucking that tailbone, finding a C curve as we slowly roll down like a string of pearls. How slow can you go here? Connecting one vertebra at a time, hugging navel in, hovering the shoulder blades, eventually lowering the shoulders and head down, stretching that all out. Nice. Draw the right knee into chest here, perhaps a couple of circles through that hip, and then we'll cross it over the body as the right arm extends and we find a twist. Melting that right shoulder blade towards the earth. Drawing back through center as we switch sides, left knee into chest. And then crossing that left knee over as we open up. Allowing all of our limbs, our muscles, our joints to get really dense and heavy now. almost like wet bags of sand. At the same time, extending that exhale, sending that message through our nervous system to our body that all is well, we are safe, we can rest, so that we can fully integrate this short but punchy practice today. Coming back into center, hug those knees into the chest. Perhaps wrap the arms around them, lift the head, tiny, tiny ball, breathe it in. And then as you breathe out, you have an invitation here to take any final movements, stretches, poses that feel good for you. Perhaps exploring those windshield wipers once again, or a moment for waterfall, maybe a reclined butterfly, before eventually journeying to your Shavasana. When you arrive, finding a gentle tuck of the chin to lengthen the back of the neck, palms to sky. And we'll come back to where we started with our breath. Breathing in as we fill up chest, rib cage and belly. And then letting it out through the mouth with an audible sigh. Allowing that breath just to do its thing now. Knowing that every moment spent here is a vote for yourself, for your wellness, for your inner connection and outer vitality. And in being here and serving yourself, you equipping yourself to better show up for those you will come into contact with for the rest of today. Lie here for a few more moments. Feel free to stay in Shavasana, or if you are ready to move now, deepening the breath, wiggling fingers and toes. Gently rolling to one side, resting there for a moment. And then when you're ready, slowly pushing up to a seat. Bringing the hands across your heart. As you feel a sense of gratitude for your body, this practice, and the commitment you have made to deepening your own body intelligence, your own connection, and your unshakable form of self-trust. Now connect the palms in front of the heart as we bow down in gratitude. And as always, thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your time with me. I hope you enjoyed that practice. Remember that we do have Becoming Her, which has yoga plus somatics plus embodiment plus meditation, nutrition, group coaching, masterclasses, all the things. It really is such a robust but achievable and real life suited program that will create real transformation for you. Of that I have no doubt. Go ahead and check out those early bird rates and feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. Otherwise, until next time, my friends, from my heart to yours, namaste.